Welcome back to another video on the channel, guys. Coming up this weekend in the Championship, we've got a lot of local encounters, and I'm interested to see who you guys are backing for these ones. So as always, all this weekend's games will be in the description down below, so that you guys can easily go ahead and make your score predictions. If you do manage to get any of them right, your comment will be included next time. Also, before we jump into anything, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. Really good footballing app, which I will leave a link to in the description down below. Over on there, you can track all the games which are going on this weekend, and like I said, we've got a lot of tasty ones coming up. We've got Leeds against Sheff Wed Wednesday, Preston against Blackburn, Cardiff against Swansea on Sunday. That'll be a really feisty one. We've also got a game on Monday as well, QPR going up against Brentford. So a lot of interesting matches this weekend, which you can all follow on the OneFootball app. So like I said, leave a link to that in the top line of the description down below. And before we do get into my score predictions, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you did successfully manage to get any of your midweek scorelines correct, then fair play to you. I managed to get just one of mine correct this week, that being the Derby against Wigan match. So we had some decent games in midweek as well, which we'll discuss throughout today's video. But without any further ado, let's hop into my score predictions. So starting things out with the early kickoff on Saturday, that sees Sheffield Wednesday going up against Leeds United. Now this one should be an interesting match. Wednesday are actually currently sat third in the table. They've been on an absolute roll lately under Gary Monk. They've only lost one out of their last 5 matches. It's crazy how close the Championship is at the moment though, because like I said, at the moment Wednesday are in third, but at the end of this weekend they could be as low as 10th. So there really is nothing separating that group of sides at the moment. But Wednesday did win in midweek, picking up a 1-0 home victory against Stoke City. Didn't look like the best of games, but Massimo Luongo getting the only goal of that game. Cameron Dawson as well also made one spectacular save. Now Kieran Westwood is available for this game, so I'm interested to see who Gary Monk does go for after Dawson had a good game in midweek. Leeds on the other hand, they are currently sat second. Their game in midweek against Preston, a little bit of a frustrating one from Leeds' point of view, quite typical in Leeds fashion really. They created a lot of chances for that game, but only managed to get the one goal in the end. Obviously Patrick Bamford was starting, leading the line for them. Some decent chances did fall his way, but he just seems to be a striker lacking in confidence at the moment. After watching the game at Deepdale, I can see what Bamford offers, and I can see why Bielsa does like him. You know, he's leading most of the presses for them going forward, works very hard off the ball, but Eddie Nketiah came on with like 15 or so minutes to go and completely changed the game. He scored when he came on in that game. I'd like to see Nketiah getting a start, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. For this game, I don't think there'll be a lot in it. I think that Wednesday will make it tough at Hillsborough, and I will go for a 1-1 draw, whereas Steve is back in 1-0 lead away victory. After that, we then see Birmingham going up against Luton. Both these sides on a similar run of form at the moment. Both have got 2 wins from their last 5. Birmingham did win in midweek, though, a 1-0 home victory over Blackburn Rovers, where they played some decent football going forward, especially in the first half of that one. 2 players who I'm loving to see more and more of for Birmingham have been Fran Villalba and Dan Crowley. Those 2 linked up really well for the opening goal for Birmingham, and that gave a nice give and go between them, and then the ball was hung up to the far post where Maxime Collin got the only goal of the game. Luton in midweek, quite a dramatic game, a 3-2 loss away at Craven Cottage to the hands of Fulham. They couldn't really control Mitrovic in that game. Something that Luton just need to work on really is tightening up at the back really. There's been a couple of occasions so far this season where they'll leave themselves with a bit of a mountain to climb. You know, they'll concede a couple of early goals and then have that fight back earlier on. If they can start games a bit better, especially away from home, they'll give themselves a fighting chance this season. I don't see there being all too much in this game. I think that both teams will try and open each other up, and I see it being fairly open, and there could be quite a few goals scored in there. I think I'm just going to edge towards Birmingham for this one for a 2-1 home victory. I see them having a bit more consistency than Luton. I'll say 2-1 Birmingham. Thieves are going to say 2-0 Luton. That could be a decent game. Next up, we then got Huddersfield going up against Barnsley. Now, even this early on in the season, this feels like an absolutely massive game. It's 2 of the sides currently sat in the bottom 3 going up against each other. Huddersfield are unbeaten in 5 matches now. However, their performance in midweek didn't look the best. It looked like a little bit of a jaded performance, a goalless draw against Middlesbrough, where the away side did miss some quite gilt-edged chances in that one. Going up against a Barnsley side who, despite not winning since the opening day, their last 2 performances have filled the fans with a little bit more optimism. You know, a 1-1 draw against Swansea when they play quite well, and in midweek actually put up a really valiant effort against West Brom. They were 2-0 up in that game. It ended as a 2-2 draw. Cully Woodrow has been Barnsley's main goal-scoring threat so far this season. He scored 2 goals in the game they had in midweek, the second one being an absolutely fantastic finish, and there seems to be a bit more intensity about this Barnsley side at the moment. They seem to be scoring a few more goals and are looking much more of a threat going forward. It seems like a massive game, and you know what? I actually may fancy Barnsley for this one. I think for a score prediction, I'm going to edge towards Barnsley to pull for an upset. I'll go for a 2-1 away victory and fancy Barnsley to get their first away win of the season. FIFA's going to say 2-1 Huddersfield. That feels like a massive game. Up next, we then got Hull going up against Derby. Now, Hull in the Championship, I just cannot wrap my head around them. Whenever I back them for 3 points, they go on and lose. And whenever I back them to lose, they go on and get 3 points. So they are probably the hardest side to predict at the moment, but in midweek, a fantastic away victory, picking up all 3 points at the City Ground, beating Nottingham Forest by 2-1. Josh McGuinness scoring and getting sent off in that game. Jared Bowen also scored and capitalised what was a very good counter-attacking move for Hull's second goal in that game. Derby midweek, they did bounce back against that absolute horror show they had the weekend, losing 3-0 against Charlton with a 1-0 home victory over Wigan Athletic. Shinnie with a last-minute sort of half volley to win that game. Fantastic strike in what was a game which seemingly didn't have a lot of quality in it. Derby at the moment going forward are really just lacking that killer passing instinct to kill off a team, and going up against Hull in this one, Hull have the quality, especially at home, to win this match. I mean, no doubt about that. But they are just so inconsistent. I'm not sure if I can back them for all 3 points. For a score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. They're currently sat right next to each other in the table, 14th and 15th. There probably won't be a lot in it. I'll say 1-1. FIFA's going to agree with me for that one. With Hull, who knows what's going to happen. Up next, we then got Middlesbrough going up against Fulham. Now, for Middlesbrough at the moment, I do fear for them a little bit. They're currently just sat outside the relegation zone. They've only scored 3 goals in their last 6 matches, and Darren Randolph is now out for up to 4 weeks. So, Middlesbrough, it seems like a bit of a torrid situation there at the moment. They had a goalless draw with Huddersfield in midweek. Ashley Fletcher missed one absolutely remarkable chance. I don't know how he put it over the bar. It was about 4 yards out and he smashed it over. Going up against the Fulham side, who are no strangers to hitting the back of the net, Mitrovic is in fine form. He scored a hat-trick against Luton in midweek, and for this game, I really can't see anything past Fulham getting up all 3 points, really. It will be typical of the Championship for Middlesbrough to win this one, but I can't see really that being a possibility. Even when Middlesbrough have been playing well at times this season, they've still not been hitting the back of the net. You know, we saw them at times put up a real fight in the game they had against West Brom, but they failed to score in that game after having some very good chances. And although Fulham can be a little bit suspect at the back at times, I really can't see a way past them getting all 3 points. They look good going forward against Luton. I think they'll be the same in this one. For a score prediction, I'm going to back Fulham for a 3-1 away victory, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-1 Fulham. I see the away side getting all 3 in that one. And then we got Millwall going up against Stoke. Now, this one should be a really tasty match, obviously. Gary Rowett now being appointed as the new Millwall manager, welcoming his old side Stoke to the Den. This is set up to be a really interesting match. Now, Millwall in midweek picked up a decent 2-2 draw, a point in the game they had against Cardiff. Tom Bradshaw at the moment is a man on absolute fire. What an impact he's had on this squad since coming back. You know, they really missed his absence last season through injury, but 5 goals now in his last 4 appearances for Millwall in the month of October. He's been on absolute fire. Stoke's winning run in midweek was put to an end. They had picked up back-to-back wins, but lost in midweek against Sheff Wednesday by 1-0 in the game where there didn't look to be all too much quality. Stoke did have a decent chance to get back into it, but Cameron Dawson made an excellent save to keep a clean sheet in that one. And this is a game where, honestly, I don't think there'll be a lot in it either. I think that both sides are obviously in a fairly similar part of the table at the moment, but I see maybe Millwall being at the Den just edging this one. It's going to be a Gary Rowett masterclass or something like that against his former side. For a score prediction, I think I'm just going to edge Millwall for a 1-0 home victory, with FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Next up, we then got Forest going up against Reading, and we can see how quick the Championship can change. 7 days ago, Forest was sat 2nd in the table, and now after back-to-back defeats, they're sat 8th in the table. So there really is nothing separating those group of teams in the table at the moment. But going up against Reading won't be an easy match in this one. Under Mark Bowen so far, to my surprise, they've actually looked really good. They obviously won at the weekend against North End, and then in midweek got a 2-2 draw against QPR, but for large parts of that game, they were probably the better team. Puskas has finally put an end to his goal drought as well. He scored the first goal that Reading got in that game. A really well taken goal as well. He definitely needed that goal to boost up his confidence. But Forest could also really do with 3 points in this one after back-to-back defeats. You know, the game they had against Hull, that came to my surprise. I thought they'd bounce back in that one after the game they had at Wigan, but it wasn't to be for them. And it is probably sort of typical Forest after starting so well, playing a lot of the, you know, so-called big teams in the league and the teams around the top 6, and then for Forest to slip up against the sides who are down there in the table at the moment. And this is another game and a potential banana skin for Nottingham Forest. With Reading playing the way they are at the moment, I don't think they can afford to take this game lightly, and I actually maybe see Reading getting a point from this one. Ajaria was someone who was causing QPR all sorts of problems in the game in midweek as well, and with how Forest are going at the moment, I'm going to say this one will end as a 1-1 draw, with FIFA back in Reading for all 3 points with a 1-0 home away victory. Next up, we then see North End going up against Blackburn Rovers, a game which I'm very much looking forward to. Now, Preston put in a decent performance, I thought, in midweek. A 1-1 draw against Leeds United. It was never going to be an easy game for us. We had to have, you know, quite a bit of the game out of possession. We had to keep our concentration levels up, but we looked good when we went forward. We scored a brilliant goal goal on the break. Sean Maguire and Tom Barkhuizen linking up for that one, and that's an area where I could see us hurting Blackburn for this one. Blackburn lately really not on a good run of form there without a win in their last 5 matches. Now, I think that if you really want to get at that Blackburn defence, there are quite a few areas of vulnerability. They are shipping quite a few goals at the moment. Confidence I don't think is very high, and that's something that Preston could thrive on with us going forward. Obviously, Preston's still unbeaten at Deepdale. We are still also the joint highest scoring team in the league, and with the amount of options we have going forward coming into this game, you'd feel like there could be quite a few goals scored in this one, and if Blackburn aren't up to it defensively, Preston could have an absolute field day going forward. You can never afford to take these sort of local games lightly though, but Preston do have a very good record in these games at Deepdale since being promoted back up to the Championship. I see it being fairly open. I see goals being scored. I'm going to back North End for a 3-2 home victory. Thief is going to say it'll be a 1-1 draw. I think that'll be an entertaining one. And then we see West Brom going up against Charlton. Now, West Brom in midweek had a really dramatic game, a 2-2 draw against Barnsley, and for however many goals that West Brom have scored so far this season, I actually think that they could do with another striker in January to more suit their system, really. Obviously, they've got the likes of Kenneth Zahor, Charlie Austin as well. Two sort of physical strikers, but don't really suit the way they play. You know, if West Brom had Dwight Gale, they'd absolutely run away with the league this year. I think they probably got the best 3 in behind the striker in the likes of Diagana, Pereira and Matty Phillips, but not having that striker who's perhaps on form or suited to the system at the moment could come back to bite West Brom in the long run for this season. But they're going up against the Charlton side who will not make it easy for them. Charlton's record against the sort of promotion favourites so far this season has been very good. They've given everyone a game that they have played who's been in that top half of the table so far. Charlton were also desperately unlucky in midweek to lose in the dying embers of that match against Bristol City. Josh Brownhill popping up in the last moment to give them all 3 points in that one. So Charlton got unlucky and they'll have a point to prove coming to the Hawthorns in this one. I see there being goals scored. There normally is when West Brom are in town. Charlton will give them a good run for their money. I'm going to say 3-2 West Brom because I do think they will have that firepower despite not having that striker who's really suited to their system. But I will say 3-2 West Brom. FIFA will say 1-0. And then to Sunday where we have Swansea going up against Cardiff. Now I'm really looking forward to seeing who you guys are backing for this one. At the moment, neither side's in a particularly great run of form. You know, you definitely say that about Swansea at the moment, who started the season like an absolute house on fire, but lately have really been falling off, and especially at home, which is why their fans may be a little bit worried coming into this one. They're without a win in their last 4 home matches. Now, in midweek was a little bit embarrassing. They got absolutely beaten up by Brentford, losing that game by 3-0. Brentford scored some really nice goals moving forward, but Swansea, at times, especially in the first half, it looked like in possession were really sloppy, giving the ball away, and defensive errors led to at least 2 of the goals they conceded in that game against Brentford. And you just know that Cardiff are going to be up for this game. Neil Warnock's not going to allow his team not to be up for this game, and they'll most certainly be up for the fight. However, the one thing you would say about Cardiff is they've been quite inconsistent on the road so far this season. They're yet to pick up all 3 points in the away match. So for that reason, this game pretty much looked like it's heading towards a draw. I'm not sure if either side is going to be brave enough to go out for all 3 points. We've seen Cardiff try and do that at times so far this season, but perhaps not have the quality to do so. From wide areas, Brentford really looked like they were hurting Swansea, and that's an area where Cardiff can get a bit of joy. You know, Junior Hoylett's someone who can be a bit of a live wire for them. He scored a fantastic goal against Millwall in midweek. Swansea at home and Swansea away look like 2 completely different sides at the moment. If they can bring their away form into this one, they have the capabilities of winning it, but with the way they're going at the moment, they're looking a bit predictable. I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I'm going to play it safe for that one. FIFA saying 2-0 Swansea. It'll be an interesting game to see what happens. As the second game on Sunday, we then got Bristol City going up against Wigan. Now, Bristol City did bounce back in very dramatic circumstances in midweek, beating Charlton by 2-1 with Josh Brownhill popping up with a 98th minute winner. And to be honest, it would have been typical of Bristol City from the past few years after that loss at the weekend against Luton by 3-0 to go on a bit of a losing streak from here on out. But they bounced back from that instantly, put that behind them, and they seem to be a side with a different mentality about them this season. So fair play to Bristol City for that. Obviously, Jeju will be suspended for this game after being sent off in that game, so I'm interested to see how Lee Johnson configures his side going forward for this one. Going up against a Wigan side who have been, once again, pretty hopeless away from home so far this season. They very nearly drew in midweek against Derby, but they conceded the last-minute winner to Graham Shinney in that match. Lowe had some fantastic chances going forward for that game, and they did have a couple of opportunities to open the scoring, which if they did so, the game might have gone a different way for them. Joe Williams has been someone someone who I have liked the look of for Wigan lately, but with Bristol City being at home at Ashton Gate after the way the game midweek went, you'd expect it to be a great atmosphere, and I think I will back Bristol City for all 3 points and for a 2-0 home victory in this game. With FIFA saying it'll be 2-1 Wigan. And then to wrap things off on Monday night, we see QPR going up against Brentford. Now, even after Brentford's slow start to the season, after they picked up 3 wins from their last 5 matches, they're only now 4 points off the playoffs. So that just goes to show that if any side can string together a few decent results, you can really go ahead and pick yourselves up. But Brentford picked up an absolutely fantastic result in midweek, beating Swansea by 3-0. Ben Rama scored an absolutely outrageous goal in that game. And as of late, Brentford do seem to have their attacking touch back going forward. They are scoring a lot more goals and are looking much more of a threat. QPR in midweek, a 2-2 draw against Reading. Probably wasn't the best performance that we've seen of QPR so far this season. They did score 2 very good goals in that one. Naki Wells and Jordan Hugel both getting on the score sheet. But I think that Mark Warburton tinkered with the system at half-time for that one as Reading were on top. But not a bad result, maybe, considering it wasn't their best performance of the season. They'll look to be back on it for this one, though. I see this one being a really open game of football. Both sides, when they are on it, have played some brilliant football so far this season. Both sides like to pass it around, play through the lines, and I can see goals being scored in it. And with how Brentford have picked themselves back up lately, I don't think there'll be all too much in it. I see there being goals scored. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. With FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Brentford. But guys, there you have it. There are all the games going on this weekend in the Championship. So what do you make of my score predictions? Leave all your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm interested to see who you guys are backing for this weekend. But other than that, guys, that will wrap it up. So if you're going to enjoy, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.